I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Hello and welcome to one of my tutorial videos. This is for the Jonnie Candito linear program. Very popular program. I would say one of the best out there for beginner novice lifters looking to break into powerlifting. It's very straightforward, it's very simple, and there's a few options in case you get bored, unlike some of the other ones like strong lifts and grey skull, stuff like this, which is pretty fixed, pretty sort of monotonous. 3 sets of 5, 5 sets of 5, 5 sets of 10. It's pretty fixed. This has quite a lot of variation in it, and it's also great for novices because they get to learn some new training concepts as well, whilst not allowing this to become too complicated. So we've got 3 variations. We've got strength hypertrophy, which is kind of focused on building strength but also building muscle. We've got strength control, which is more about for strength but also control in your lifts by doing a lot of tempo work, pauses, pausing at full contraction, stuff like that. This is very good for powerlifters, especially if you already developed a sticking point in your lift. For example, if you're stuck getting the weight off the floor, or you're struggling in the deadlift to get the weight off the floor, this could be a good program. If you're stuck in the hole at the bottom of the lift on the squat, this is a good program. If you're stuck with your bench press as well off the chest, this could be a good program. So this is a nice option for lifters. You then got strength and power, which is kind of obvious. It's strength and power. It's about improving your overall strength but also your explosive power. Pretty good for Olympic lifters, strongmen, power lifters. This is a good program. That's one of my favorites. So let's start with strength and hypertrophy. I'll try and keep this quite short. There's not too much to talk about. If you really want to find out more about this program, I've got the PDF Jonnie Candito linear file on my website, which is, you'll find the link to my website below, where you can also download this program. So this is your training routine. You've got 2 days sort of heavy training, strength training, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday you take a day off, and that's a complete day off. No going to the gym and doing a couple of curls. Thursday, Friday you do your hypertrophy, your bodybuilding stuff, and then you take a 2-day rest before beginning that more taxing, heavy stuff for week 2. Day 1 is Monday. Okay, this is heavy lower body stuff. This is the squats, the deadlifts, and then you're going to do a couple of assistance accessory exercises that are kind of lower body focused. There's not really too much to talk about here, in all fairness. You always have to warm up for every lift. You're then, for your back squats, going to do 3 sets of 6, and that's at 75% of your squat 1 rep max. Now don't forget to enter your 1 rep maxes here, but also don't forget to change this. 2.5 for kilograms, 5 for pounds. And you can do 3 sets of 6 at 75%, and you can do a competition deadlift. Now I've changed the wording here, competition deadlift, because if you're a conventional deadlifter, you would pull conventional here. If you're a sumo deadlifter, you would do this sumo. You're going to do 2 sets of 6 at 75%. Pretty straightforward, not too taxing there. You don't do a 3rd set. Whenever it's blacked out, that means you don't do that. You're then going to do some lightweight front squats for 3 sets of 8 to 12. I like to do the goblet squats with the dumbbell for this one. I also quite like doing the safety squat bar front squats for this one. It's just, especially if you're doing more reps, you don't really want to be grabbing a standard bar, flexing your wrists, driving your elbows forward. For 8 to 12 reps, it's a lot of reps for that sort of lift. I then do the leg press for about 3 sets of 8 to 12. Normally I keep this at 10 to 12 range. Day 2 is your heavy upper. So this is kind of more focused on the back, the chest, shoulders. We've got the competition grip bench press. Now again, I'm wording that competition grip because if you're more of a wide grip bencher, then you would adopt that for this lift. If you're a narrow grip, you take that narrow grip. If you're a medium grip, you'd apply that grip. Now that's, if you don't know grip positioning, you can Google that, you can research it, because in powerlifting you can really kind of exploit the grip position on the bar. I'm a very wide bench presser. It just works for me. I'd love to do a video about this at some time, explaining the grip positioning on the bench press and which one's best suited for you, for your strengths on the bench press. People who tend to have pretty beastly triceps like to take a narrower grip, but again, I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I will make a separate video for that. So you can do 3 sets of 6 at 75% of your 1 rep max. You can do some pendlay barbell rows. This is my favorite type of row. I don't like the typical sort of gym rat barbell row. I like the pendlay row. If you don't know what that is, Google it, YouTube it, do that. Now I like to know what my 1 rep max is for the pendlay row. Because it's off the floor and it's a controlled, very fixed lift, there's no hacking in this lift, you should be able to work out what your 1 rep max is for this. For example, here it's 125, I'll put 125 in there. And then that way I can be more precise when I'm training this lift, rather than warming up and then just kind of, seeing how I feel at the last set of my warm up, and then I'll just add 5 on, and that will be 3 sets of 6. I think I like to be a little bit more accurate with my lifting, especially when I'm training novice lifters, get them into the habit of being a bit more scientific with how they approach the barbell. So we're going to do 3 sets of 6 at 75%. The strict overhead military press, that is a strict press, meaning you do not push press, you do not split jerk. It is a strict overhead press with the barbell. You're going to do 75% for 6 reps. Don't forget your warm up. Now you're then going to do the chin up, a weighted chin up if you can. Some people can't do weighted chin ups, mainly because possibly they don't have the strength, develop the strength yet to do that. Maybe they are quite heavy, they might be 125 kilograms, 150 kilograms. It's a lot harder to do a chin up when you're 150 kilograms compared to 45 kilograms. That's a big difference in body weight. But if you can do a weighted chin up with good form and good technique, with the correct grip, without swinging around and cheating, then you can put that up here, and that's what it is. Now I measure the weight is in what the weight attached to me, not my body weight plus the weight that I've got on attached to me. For example, I've got 40 kilograms here, so I'd have 220 kg plates, and I'd do that would be my max chin up. So there you're just going to do 6 reps. And if all you can do is body weight, then you just do a body weight chin up for 6 reps. Then going to do some accessory lifts, lat pull downs, whatever grip you want to take, a wide grip, close grip, overhand grip, whatever one you want to apply. And then you're going to do some dumbbell side lateral raises. Okay, then you've got a day off, and then you come back to the gym on Thursday and you're going to do hypertrophy lower work. So this is more volume, higher reps per set. This is less stressful in terms of draining you of your strength. This is a cool day. You've got your back squats. You can do 4 sets of 8 at about 65%. I've set that percentage there. If you want to do less, you can do less. If you want to make that go up to the formula bar up here, go to where it says 0.65 and just change that to 0.60 or 0.55 or 0.5, whatever you think works best for you. Then you're going to do a snatch grip deadlift. Keep the weight very light with this. Again, I've got like 40% of my deadlift max. That's the percentage I've used up here. But if that doesn't work for you, you can make that lighter, whatever works for you. Make sure you know how to do a snatch grip deadlift properly before you attempt this. You can do some hamstring curls for 3 sets of 8. Great exercise. Some standing calf raises for 4 sets of 15 reps. Face pulls, and then I threw in the hip thrusters there because it's a fantastic exercise for building that glute strength. Day 4 is Friday. You are going to do hypertrophy upper now. This is a cool day as well. So you've got your neutral grip bench press. By neutral, I mean you're not taking a over the top close grip or over the top wide grip. It's a very sort of neutral, just outside of shoulder width grip. And you do 4 sets of 8 at 65% of your max. You're going to do an incline barbell press. Now again, I use the barbell for this, and I've got it at 40% of my bench press max. Again, that might be too heavy for you. In that case, you do your warm-up, and on that last warm-up set you did for, let's say, 10 reps, if you did it for 10 reps at 40 kilograms, then maybe you just want to add another 5 kilograms or 10 pounds to the bar, and then that's your weight for 4 sets of 8. Keep that weight fixed there. Don't mess around with it. 4 sets of 8 with a fixed weight, in this case 60 kilograms. Okay, one arm dumbbell rows, fantastic exercise. You can do 4 sets of 8 there for whatever weight works for you. I've then got the barbell front shrugs, fantastic exercise for building up the forearms, the traps, the rhomboids, grip strength. I love shrugging. I know some powerlifters detest the exercise. They see no relevance to it. They believe you should just be doing rack pulls. I disagree. I think the front shrug is a great exercise, if done properly, that is. That's the key there. So you're going to do 4 sets of 8, and I like to use about 70% of my deadlift max for that. So that's 4 sets of 8, 175 kilograms in this case. If that's too heavy for you, and you know instinctively that's not going to work, come up to the formula bar up here, and just to change that, you might want to just do 50% of your deadlift max, and do 125 kilograms in this case. Again, you have some flexibility. This isn't set in stone, this is hypertrophy day. It's about growing muscles here, not so much about strength training. You can be flexible with that. So then got the seated dumbbell shoulder press, one of my favorite exercises for 3 sets of 10. You can do some dumbbell hammer curls, another great bicep exercise when executed properly. You can do a crossbody curl. You can do that maybe if you prefer with the cable rope attachment and just not do it with the dumbbell, or you can just do your bog standard hammer curls with the dumbbells. Going to do some V-bar tricep press downs for 4 sets of 10 to 15 reps. Get some volume, get a bit of a pump in the tricep there, and then do some dumbbell pec flies. This is one of my favorite exercises with the dumbbells. I don't really like it with the machine. I like to do pec flies with the dumbbell for about 8 to 10 reps, not too high on the reps there. You don't want to go like 20 to 25. It's a pretty difficult exercise to execute properly, so I keep it sensible, the weight. And there we go. So once you finish that week, you can do one or two things. You can progressively overload the weight each week by adding a fixed amount. So for example, you could be anywhere from 0 to 10 pounds or 0 to 5 kilograms. So possibly what you might want to do is, once you finish that week, come over to the 1 rep section and just adjust the weight. So for example, let's say if my max is 250, I might just increase that by 5 pounds or 2.5 kilograms and just go 252.5. Or alternatively, if I'm progressing fast on my deadlift, you can add 5 kilograms or 10 pounds, whatever works for you, whatever's the right weight for you, and just go through each one and increase it from anywhere from 0 to 10 pounds. If you felt by the end of the week you were pretty tired, you're pretty fatigued, it was an exhausting training week, then you might just want to keep it at 0 and just repeat the same weight that you did the week before for the following week, the next week. And that's really up to you how you want to approach the increases there. So for me personally, if you were to ask me what I do, I would, as a true novice lifter, someone who's just picking up the barbell, I'm experiencing what I love to call the newbie gains. I would keep it for the pressing exercises about 2.5 kilograms a week or 5 pounds. For the deadlift, for the squat, I would keep that at maybe no more than 5 kilograms, 10 pounds a week. And for the pendlay row and the chin-ups are pretty difficult to make rapid gains. With the chin-ups, I tend to just keep the weight as it is, and then each week see how I feel. You are, in this instance, only doing 1 set of 6, so that's going to be pretty difficult to make any sort of rapid gains on that. So what you might want to do, if you feel like your chin-up's not going anywhere, is just ignore exactly what Johnny's said, tell him to basically go to hell, and do 3 sets of 6, for example. It's possible. You can do that. As a novice lifter, you're making rapid gains, your maxes aren't too high. You can maybe add another 2 sets of 6 in there to try and increase your chin-up max and put more weight onto the weighted chin-up. That's what I would recommend personally. I think it's more than viable to do 3 sets of 6 on your heavy day for the weighted chin-up with about 2-3 minutes rest in between each set. That's more than achievable. For some reason Johnny didn't think that. I've left this right till the end because I didn't want to complicate things, but that's something that you can do if you wish to do. And with the row, again, I mean, it's not a key exercise per se to max out and add, but if you're going to add weight onto that on a weekly basis, because it's quite a difficult exercise to add weight to, because it's very strict, it's very fixed, it's a tough exercise to pull off, I'd say about 5 pounds a week, 2.5 kilograms a week would be pretty sufficient. But again, play around with it. There's some flexibility in this program. And that's the strength and hypertrophy program done. So let's finish that and move on to the next one. So strength and control. This is an interesting program, and it's one I wouldn't really expect to see in a beginner routine. But what we got up here, we got the same routine as the strength hypertrophy. 2 days on, rest, 2 days on, and then 2 days off. You start with your heavy work on Monday and Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday you do your control work. less intensity, more focused on pause, holding contractions, stuff like that. Enter your 1 rep maxes, change the rounding, 2.5 for kg, 5 for pounds. Day 1 is Monday. It's heavy lower stuff, 3 sets of 6 at 75% for the back squat. Front squat, you can do whatever weight you feel like. I keep my front squats quite light. For this instance, I've got 30% of my squat 1 rep max, back squat 1 rep max. That works for me, and then that way I am not taking too much strength away from me when I come to the competition deadlift. But again, you can play around with that if you wish to, or you could just keep it at that 30-35% of your back squat 1 rep max. A competition deadlift, 2 sets of 6 at 75%. I'm going to do a stiff leg deadlift, not a Romanian deadlift, for 3 sets of 8 to 12. Now, if you were to ask me, I would not go on the 12 range. I would really say my max is 10 reps. I would keep it maybe at 3 sets of 8. That's a really good weight to use. I would just not chase the 12 reps. Unless, I wouldn't do that. No, I'd keep it at 3 sets of 8. But I've kept it in there because that's what Jonnie said. Jonnie Candito, the first one, not me. So there we go. But my recommendation was 3 sets of 8. Day 2 is heavy upper. We're going to do 3 sets of 6 on the competition bench press. If you haven't listened to the first video, the first section already, and you've just fast forwarded to this part, competition means you're using the grip that you would you'll meet your competition. If you're a wide grip bencher, you'd apply a wide grip. If you're more of a narrow grip, you take a narrow grip. So there we go. I'll make a video about grip positioning on the bench press and what works best for you based on your strengths and your genetics and your proportions, whether you've got shorter arm, longer arm, big triceps, bigger pecs, whatever. I'll talk about that in another video, so a bit later on. Then you do some pendlay rows for 3 sets of 6 at 75% of your 1 rep max for the pendlay row. As I said before, you can chase a pendlay row max. It is more than possible. If you don't know what that variation of row is, Google it, YouTube it, find out how to do it properly. Then you're going to do a dumbbell seated shoulder press for 6 reps. Don't forget your weights need to warm up. And then you do some weighted dips for 6 reps. Now again, up here I've got your dip max. Now this is a chest weighted dip, not a tricep weighted dip. Now if you don't understand there's a difference between the two, how you position yourself changes whether you're doing the dip for the tricep or the chest. You should probably check that out on YouTube before you begin. This is a chest weighted dip. And there we go. So what you're going to do is find out how much you can do for that. For example, here I can attach 60 kilograms to me when I'm doing a weighted dip for my 1 rep max. That's just an example. I haven't done this exercise in a while, so I'll have to check that out at some point. If you can't do any weighted dips at all, then just keep it body weight and do 6 reps. Now, similar to the chin-ups, right? Jonnie recommends that you shouldn't do any more than 1 set of 6. I slightly disagree with this. Now, I don't feel like I can really add much to my dip by just doing 6 reps on a week. That's not really enough volume. It's not enough sets, it's not enough volume really. Even taking into consideration I've got to do a warm-up first. So I think you should do at least 2 to 3 working sets instead of 1 working set. And in my case, I would say you would do 3 sets of 6 with about 2-3 minutes rest between each set. That's my recommendation. With the fixed weight, don't change the weight. So if in this case it's 45%, which is 75% of my chest weighted dip max, I'd do 3 sets of 45 kg. Going to do a barbell strict curls for the 3 sets of 8 to 12, and then you do the JM press for 3 sets of 8 to 12. Okay, then Thursday. This is your control lower body day. So you are going to do a 3-second pause squat for 6 sets of 4 at 70% of your squat max. That's a 3-second pause at the bottom. I'll count to 3 and back up. Be careful with that. Don't cut the pauses short. And then you're going to do some 3-second pause front squats for 3 sets of 6 to 8. Again, choose the weight. How to choose the weight on this is based on how your warm-up went. I haven't put any sort of fixed percentage in here. It depends on how you're feeling after the pause back squats. Then you're going to do some 3-second pause deadlifts, and here what you do, you pause straight after the weight comes off the floor. That's the position that you pause for 3 seconds. And then you're going to do some 4-inch deficit deadlifts. Now for the pause deadlifts, you're going to do 3 sets of 4 at 70%. with the 4-inch deficit deadlifts, you're going to do 50% for 4 sets of 8. Again, you can make that lower if you feel like that weight is too heavy. If 50% is too much, you can change that maybe to 40%, 35%, or whatever you feel is right on the day. Now on Friday, it is the control upper. You're going to start with the spotto press. If you don't know how to do that, Google it. It is not the same as your traditional bench press. I'm just going to tell you that now. You do 6 sets of 4 at 70%. You do some weighted chin-ups, 2-second pause at full contraction. You do that for 6 sets of 4 at 70% of your chin-up max. That is pretty cool. If you can do that, that would be very impressive. You do some barbell strict pressing, 1 set of 10 at 60% of your barbell strict overhead press max. Again, you could maybe do 3 sets if you feel like that's not sufficient. For example, I would recommend, if you were asking me, to do 3 sets of 10. I think 1 set of 10 is not enough volume, and it's not enough sets, even taking into consideration the warm-up. It's not enough working sets. So if you would ask me, I would do 3 sets of 10 with about a 3-minute rest between each set. I'm going to keep that like that. Right, then we're going to do the 1-arm dumbbell rows for 1 set of 10. Taking into consideration, you can do a warm-up first, maybe 3 set warm-up sets before doing that top heavy working set. Do some JM pressing for 3 sets of 8 to 10, and some dumbbell side laterals for 3 sets of 10 to 15. Pretty straightforward there. And there we go, that's your training program. That is it. It's a linear program, so you want to try and progress the weight each week if possible, anywhere from 0 to 10 pounds or 0 to 5 kg. As I said previously, I think for the deadlift and the squat and the pendlay row, you want to probably add about 10 pounds a week, 5 kilograms if possible. And for the pressing exercises, the dips and the chin-ups, maybe keep that at a maximum of 5 pounds, 2.5 kilograms. I would say with the weighted dips and the weighted chin-ups, you probably want to take it easy with the progressing on that. Maybe keep the weight fixed for about two weeks and then progress, because you want to be careful with the dips and the chin-ups. Pretty easy to injure yourself as a novice lifter if you haven't quite got the technique right. A lot of people I meet who do weighted chin-ups and weighted dips tend to get a bit egomaniac. I want to use that phrase. They really want to impress every gym rat. They really want to, look like Betty Big Bollocks in the gym, and they just start overdoing these weights. And I've seen people tear a bicep. I've seen people tear the pecs. It is a pretty easy exercise to injure yourself on if not done correctly and you're using too much weight. So just be sensible with this. It's an accessory exercise. It is not a core exercise, a main lift. You don't go to a powerlifting meet and do a squat, bench, deadlift and a weighted chin up and a weighted dip. You don't do that, so you don't need to overthink this one too much. There we go. Let's move on to program 3 now. Okay, so the final program, probably my least favorite in all fairness, it's the strength and power program. So if you've watched the 2 other videos and you haven't just skipped this section already, it's the same training routine, 2 days heavy, beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays off, Thursday, Friday, come back to do your power training, and then you got the weekend to rest. But here's something that I must address. Sometimes people say that this 1 day right here, after 2 back-to-back heavy days, is not sufficient recovery. So what you can do in that instance is change the formula slightly and move Thursday and Friday. And instead of doing Thursday and Friday, do Friday and Saturday. That's what you can do if you feel like come Thursday you're still not feeling strong enough. So enter your 1 rep maxes, round to 2.5 for kg, 5 for pounds. Add anywhere from 0 to 10 pounds, 0 to 5 kg on a weekly linear basis, no more than that. So your starting day is day 1. That's the heavy lower day. You're going to start with your back squat. You're going to do 3 sets of 6. Starting weight for week 1 is 75% of your 1 rep max, and then you add 0 to 10 pounds on a weekly basis. You do 2 sets of 6 for the competition deadlift. Starting weight is 187.5 in this instance, which is 75% of my deadlift max. That's not mine, that's from a customer. Leg curls, goblet squats, your optional. Now, Jonnie Candito says these are kind of optional, but I think really you should be doing these. For 3 sets of 6, you've got the leg curls and the goblet front squats. Don't really overthink these too much. Don't whack on a bucket load of weight. That applies for all 3 programs with these, the ones in italics. These are optional. These are hypertrophy. They're assistance-based training. Don't overthink it. Don't be a bit of a moron and put on as many plates as you possibly can and use all your power and strength on these exercises. These are for hypertrophy-based reasons, no more than that. Right, next is Tuesday, which is your heavy upper day. You can do your competition bench press. Week 1, you start with 75% of your 1 rep max for 3 sets of 6. Pendlay rows, same situation, 3 sets of 6. Week 1, 75% of your max, which will be up here. As I said in the previous 2 programs, it's quite difficult to chase a max for a row, but with the Pendlay row, it is much easier than your sort of gym wrap barbell row. It's off the floor, it's very strict and controlled. You can't move, you can't hack the way up. You have to, well, you should really know what a Pendlay row is. If you don't, go YouTube it and then it will all make sense. Try and know what that max is. It's good to progress this exercise. I'm a massive fan of Pendlay rows. I will rarely do any other form of row with exception to possibly dumbbell rows, but that's it. I won't do any others. Cable rows, Smith rows. I won't do any other type of row. This is my go-to exercise. So you can do a strict barbell military press. Now, Jonnie Candito said you should do 1 set of 6. Starting weight is 75% of your 1 rep max for week 1. I recommend you should really try and do at least 2 sets, ideally, possibly 3 if possible. And then you can do your weighted chin-ups. Jonnie Candito recommended you should do 1 set of 6. Again, I think you should try at least do at least 2 working sets for 6 reps. And again, as I said in a previous video, it's good if you can try and work out what your weighted chin-up max is. This is kind of unusual. Most people don't do this, but this is something what I do. I like to know what my maxes are for my weighted dips and my weighted chin-ups. That gives me an indication of what sort of percentages I should be training with this exercise. I don't use the RPE scale. Because this is for novice lifters, this video really, I'm not going to start rambling on about the RPE scale, but I don't use it. I don't agree with it. I don't really believe in it. So I like to use percentages and just gut feeling really from experience. So in this instance, for example, I don't weigh 40 kilograms. That's the weight that's attached to me for the weighted chin-up. Now, if you can't do a weighted chin-up or a weighted dip, for example, as I said in the previous 2 programs, you can just go off body weight, okay? And then eventually, as you progress on a linear basis, you will start to add weight to that. And then you can start to calculate in the future when you restart this program again on week 1. You'll have an idea of what your 75% of that should be. Okay, and then we go on to the 2 hypertrophy-based exercises, because they're in italics, meaning that they are hypertrophy-based optional exercises. Jonnie Candito labels them as optional. Again, because you've done quite a lot of training on the heavy upper day, you've already done 4 exercises. You might just want to do 1 of these rather than both, but again, it's up to you. So Thursday is the power lower day. Now, this is quite an interesting day. You're going to do the barbell jump squats first, weighted. The weight should be determined based on what you've warmed up with. You should know by your final warm-up set what your 6 sets of 4 working sets should be. That weight is fixed for all 6 sets, so make sure you choose a sensible weight. Power cleans, you're going to do 6 sets of 4 again. And again, there's no predefined set 1 weight based on percentages. You're going to warm up and you're going to choose a weight that you can do for 6 sets of 4 with about 2-3 minutes rest in between each set. Box jumps. Now, I remember this was actually meant to be unweighted, but I believe some people out there can already do weighted box jumps, holding dumbbells, holding weight plates, maybe even with a weighted vest on. So I've kept that kind of optional, but if you can't do weighted box jumps on any of the different levels, the different height settings on the box, then you just do body weight box jumps for 5 sets of 4. You do one-legged broad jumps unweighted for 5 sets of 4 again. So as you can see, all these exercises are very sort of explosive. They're very sort of power focused. They are all very useful, very helpful to try and improve your explosive power. So it's a good program. Really looking at it again, I've personally never done this one myself, this strength and power one. But looking at it, it could be beneficial to run this maybe for 4 to 6 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks, maybe. Anyway, so control upper body. So you're going to do, for the first exercise, the spotto press for 6 sets of 4. If you don't know what a spotto press is, go away and check it out. You have to do a spotto press. You can't do your typical standard bench press. It has to be this one. 6 sets of 4, 70% of your 1 rep max for the bench. That's your week 1 weight. And then you progress on a weekly basis. You're going to do a weighted chin up with a 2-second pause at full contraction. And again, this is going to be quite a tough one for some people because they normally don't do pauses on weighted chin ups. So instinctively, I reckon about 9 out of 10 people will struggle with this. So my advice really is don't go off your chin up max. Start warm up and then see how you feel when you're on your last warm up set. Maybe do three warm up sets, and then if you feel like you can't do a 2-second pause at full contraction on a weighted chin up, then just do body weight and then progress on a weekly basis from there. But if you are already pretty damn good at your chin ups and it's something that you've trained a lot in the past, you can automatically start jumping into possibly even 70% of your chin up max for a 2-second weighted chin up, but that's probably unlikely. So what I'm going to do at this instance, boom, get rid of that. And instead what I'm going to recommend most of you do is just base how the warm up goes and then see how you feel when you're ready to go for your first working set. Alright, next up is the dumbbell seated shoulder press. You're going to do 1 set of 10. The weight is not predefined. You're going to warm up and then choose a weight you can do for 10 reps. Now, here's where I come in again and start playing around with Johnny's formula slightly. I believe with this exercise you should try at least do a minimum of 2 working sets of 10 reps. That's what I believe. You could even, if you want, try 3 sets of 10. Again, choose a sensible weight. This is not meant to be a heavy exercise, and just see how you go. But for me personally, I think for a true novice lifter, a beginner, you could quite easily get away with doing 3 sets of 10 for this exercise. Right, next one is the barbell shrugs. Again, Jonnie Candito recommends you just do a warm-up routine and then do 1 working set of 10 reps. Do I agree with that? No, I don't agree with that. So again, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what I believe. I think you should try to aim to do at least 2 working sets of 10. That's my thoughts on that, including your 3, possibly 2-3 warm-up sets. That should be sufficient volume to make this exercise beneficial. Now the barbell shrugs, really go away and make sure that you check tutorial videos first to make sure you got the right technique with this. I would say probably about 70% of the people I see doing the barbell shrugs do it wrong. Load way too much weight on there and just don't get any sort of range on the exercise. They don't get the maximum out of the exercise. So really make sure before you begin this program that you go away and just review the barbell row and just make sure you got the right technique first. Now, the weight I've chosen is 60% of your 1 rep max for your deadlift. Now, I would recommend, again, possibly doing a warm-up routine first and see how you feel when you're going into that first working set. What weight works based on what you've warmed up with. But if you're pretty comfortable with your shrugs, I'd say 60% for 2 sets of 10 is pretty good for week 1. And then on a weekly basis, you add to that. You do 2 hypertrophy-based optional exercises. This is lying tricep extension and lat pull down. Again, don't overthink this. Just try and approach these exercises from a hypertrophy mindset rather than a strength. I see some people maxing out the lat pull downs. I don't get it. I really don't get it. They'll do like 2-3 reps with the lat pull downs. It makes no sense whatsoever. So this is 8 to 12. And there we go. So there we go. That's it. Right, now let me do a sort of Q&A section, what the questions I commonly get asked about this program. So the first question I commonly get asked about this program is the linear progression. How much weight do I add each week? So as I've said already, and I'll just say it for a second time, really it depends on the lifter and how you feel at the end of each training week. You can then decide really how much you can add to the bar for the following week. Now, if you're going to follow on a fixed linear progression, I would kind of keep it consistent. So as I said before, pressing exercises, about 5 pounds, 2.5 kilograms, possibly less, depending on how good proficient you are at those exercises. And then for your heavier, bigger lifts, your squat, your deadlift, possibly the pendlay row, I would then approach that maybe chasing a sort of 10 pounds range. That would make more sense for me. So about 5 kilograms. I think that's a better idea. So with the weighted chin-ups and the dips, this one's a tricky one. These exercises are very difficult to injure yourself with, so my advice would be to keep it on the lower end. Really, sometimes you won't be able to make any linear gains on these two exercises, especially with the chin-ups. You want to make sure you execute each rep perfectly. You can't do a quarter rep chin-up and count that as a rep. It has to be the full range of motion executed perfectly. So if you, for example, are doing 6 sets of 4, and on the final set of 6 sets of 4, you only did 2 reps, that means you cannot progress the following week. If you didn't finish all reps that have been stated, then it does not count, meaning you can't add another 2.5 kilograms or 5 pounds the following week until you get all the reps complete, all the reps executed perfectly. You can't add weight to the weighted chin up or dip. That's my advice with that, and that applies for all 3 programs. Okay, don't overthink these ones. Don't be an egomaniac and start throwing on 20 pounds, 10 pounds on a weekly basis, even though you haven't executed all the reps properly and you've skipped a few reps, or maybe you even skipped a set. Okay, that's my advice on those exercises. Second question, what about the optional exercises, as Jonnie Candito labels them? I call them the hypertrophy exercises. These are always in italics, right here, the bottom ones, for all the exercises. Okay, I get asked a lot about this. What ones should I do? What ones shouldn't I do? How many should I do? What's the rep range? Blah, blah, blah. You'd be amazed at how many people overthink this exercise. So this is a program. Yes, the first one has the word hypertrophy in it, which implies that it's more strength and bodybuilding sort of focus, but don't overthink it. Okay, don't overthink it. It's not a full-blown bodybuilding hypertrophy based training routine. So my advice, see how you feel after the core main lifts. So for example, it would be these 4 here or these 2 here. See what your energy levels are, see how much time you have left. You might be time restrained, you might not be able to finish the whole, all the exercises, including the optional exercise. Maybe just do 1 or 2, or if there's more than 2 options, maybe just do 1, maybe don't do any. Don't overthink it too much, okay? And really use lighter weight. Don't use massively heavy weights. Choose a sensible weight. And again, try and stick to the 10 to 12 range rather than the 8 rep range. That's my advice on that. But again, if you're not feeling up to it, you feel tired, you feel fatigued, you feel like you've used all your energy, then don't do them, or just do 1. That's my advice on that. The third question I commonly get asked is, what's the training routine weekly like? What should I do if I can't do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday? Well, just adjust it accordingly. 2 days on, rest, 2 days on, and then 2 days rest. So you can just adjust it accordingly, okay? You could possibly even mix it up a little bit. You could do a Monday, Wednesday, and skip the Tuesday, and do heavy lower on Monday. You could do heavy upper on Wednesday. and then you could take a day off on Thursday and then come back and do maybe back-to-back power lower, power upper on Friday and Saturday. You can play around with it. It's not fixed in stone per se. But if you miss a day, this is a good point. This is a really good point actually. If you miss one of your training days that week, then you cannot progress and add weight to the bar the following week. You must repeat the prescribed weight that you had for that week for all exercises, for all days, all training goals. So if, for example, I'm on my 4th week of the strength and control program, and let's say due to possibly personal issues, I wasn't able to complete day 4, Friday, and I missed it, and I was unable to do it on Saturday or Sunday, which you probably shouldn't do it on Sunday anyway, because come Monday you're going to be doing the heavy. Let's say I wasn't able to do it Friday or Saturday, then the following week I do not add any weight for all the exercises. I just repeat everything I've got here. I repeat the weight that I was meant to do the previous week. Don't just say, screw it, I only missed 1 day out of 4, I'll just add weight on for everything and continue as it is. No, just repeat what you've done. And really that applies for each exercise. If, for example, on this day, the heavy lower on the back squat, let's say you do 3 sets of 6, but you were unable to complete all the reps on the 3rd and final set, then what should you do? Well, the following week, you do not add weight to the bar. You just repeat that weight again the following week. You do not add any weight at all, 0. If you missed a set or missed a rep, then that's just the way it is. You have to keep that weight consistent for the following week. You haven't created any strength adaptation, meaning you can't suddenly add more weight to the bar. You haven't achieved the prescribed volume and volume of sets and reps. So you have to repeat that. So there we go. Those are the most commonly asked questions. I'm going to stop it right there. If you have any other questions, you can comment below on this YouTube video and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching this. You can download this program and buy it from my website. So go check it out. The link's below in the description. Good luck with this program. Have a fantastic day.